Howdy, y'all.
I'm Leslie.
And I'm Laurie. Welcome to Sumo Kaboom.
Kaboom, where we talk about all things sumo.
That's right. And we are going to be talking about days 1 through 3 of this Basho in the month of May 2025. Yeah, but before we do we have, well, I know we need to talk about bingo for just a tiny sliver of time. Our bingo game is on. I have no idea how many people have signed up because in my world, a really good online game takes no oversight. You just set it up and it runs. And so that is what it's doing. I know there are hundreds of people playing along, and we will find out who gets a bingo probably one of the last 3 or 4 days of the Basho when all the emails start coming into our email box. So if you want to play, get yourself a card, go to our website for all the info. We have wonderful, wonderful sponsors. You can read all about them there and maybe win yourself a prize of some sumo merch.
That's right. I mean, it's a great gateway game for all of your friends that are unsure about sumo. You just get them a bingo card and then they're hooked. It's usually a fast track into the sport for anybody who's new to sumo. It's a really fun way to get to know the wrestlers and watch some sumo. What else? News. Well, yeah, I guess there's a little bit of a news flash. One of our listeners brought to our attention that there is a new money amount that goes into each envelope that the wrestler wins.
I was going to ask you about this. Yeah, Sarah asked us that question.
Yeah. So I looked it up, and there was an article, and Hakuho or Miyagano Oyakata had mentioned, back in the day, he won one year he won 100 million yen. It's nuts. And what happens after the tournaments is him and all his Tsukibitos or whoever he appoints that job goes and opens all the envelopes and basically counts it out.
So someone you trust, someone you absolutely trust.
Yes. And then, after that process, it's normal to tip your, everybody who does something for you, essentially. So as theater people, it's like tipping your hairdresser and your dressers and all that kind of stuff. So you tip everybody. And your very first tournament win, I believe it's customary to hand over to your Oyakata in total. But anyway, so they have now changed the process. So each envelope that's up on the stage represents, I believe, the same amount, which is 30,000 yen. But now there's only 10,000 yen in each envelope, and the other 20,000 get direct deposited, which I think is okay, it's good.
Oh.
It gets sent to the wrestler's bank account. So there's that. And it's basically to cut down on fraud or theft. And I don't know, maybe they just want more oversight of how much these guys make and how much is being spent or sent back to the stable, because they're supposed to put a portion of that back into the stable. But
well, it's smart. That's an awful lot of cash going through someone's hands.
Yeah. So that's kind of the news that I can talk about. Everything else is kind of related to the tournament, which is happening right now. It's the Natsu Basho, right? That's the summer, right? Even though it's not really summer, right? It's
no idea. I always
May.
Forget the names.
Yeah, maybe not. Then maybe it's not. Maybe I'm making that up. But it's the May Basho.
It's the May Basho. That's all you need to know. It's May 2025 and sumo is back, and it's still just exciting as it always is. I'm going to be breaking down day 1 and day 3, and I believe you have day 2 today.
That's right.
So let's jump in.
Let's go.
Unless we've had day 4. Have we had day 4?
No.
Okay.
I think, I just watched day 3.
Okay.
Just now. Which,
me too.
Yeah. So I think it's just 3. They're in the middle of the night right now, sleeping, getting ready to go to day 4, I think.
Okay.
So.
I always get a little confused because the days and nights are backwards, but also the footage is often late coming up live for us in the US. So it's easy to kind of get a day behind. But all right. So here we are. Day 1. First of all, a couple things before we start talking about the sumo itself. This time in May, we got 2 new wrestler portraits that went up in the Kokugikan. Okay, so if you've never been there live, you may not know this, but every other Basho, they put up these big, huge portraits of the winners up in the ceiling of the Kokugikan. The portraits, I mean, they look like they're I don't know, 15 feet tall, something like that.
They're
Giant.
huge. And that's where they play that awesome synth rap.
This is the
Like,
only reason that I'm mentioning it, because
yeah.
Leslie gets a chance to hear her favorite music in sumo, which goes a little something like this. Would you like to sing it?
Da 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 da
Yeah.
da. I think that's
That was
it.
really good. Yeah, but picture that in your brain, like with the most 80s synth sound you
Yeah.
could
It's
possibly imagine, and that's it.
it's straight out of like 1984.
Yeah,
Like
and
maybe Cyndi Lauper was the one who recorded it. We don't
that
know, but they're still
yes.
using it today.
Yeah, and it's got this little curtain that comes up, and so it reveals it from the feet all the way up to the head, and it's very, very exciting, and I
Yeah.
love it every time.
Yeah.
So this time we got to see new portraits of Hoshoryu and Onosato. They were beautiful. They got their pictures taken out in front of the Kokukikan. It's always just a really fun way to see some sumo wrestlers up front. If you are in Japan for a Basho, just always see if you can find out if that event is happening, because it's free to watch them get their pictures taken with that.
Yeah, there's a lot of free stuff that happens before the tournament happens anyway. So even though the tournament's already started, I'm sure there's stuff at the end. There's the closing ceremony where they toss the gyoji into the air. If you happen to be there, there's still a lot of cool things going on, even if you don't get a ticket to see the tournament. So
That's right.
look that up.
One of the other really fun things about this sumo tournament is we have a new bow twirler.
Yes, we do. And I
Now,
recognize him.
Yes, if you are in Texas and you hear bow twirler, I can only imagine that what you are thinking of is like a 7-year-old girl twirling a baton in like a gymnastics uniform, or like being at the front of the parade like that. But that is not what bow
No.
twirling in sumo is.
Although that would be amazing.
I would pay to see that. I really would. But I'm talking about the ceremonial bow twirler that finishes out the day of sumo, ceremoniously wipes the slate clean. And he does this whole ritual with a bow above his head, and it is Aqua.
Yes.
It is Aqua now. I never even knew the other guy's name. Sorry, other guy. But it is
Yeah.
now Aqua.
Yeah, who knew? Because Aqua used to be up in the top tier, the top Makauchi ranks, and we haven't seen him in a while. And I assume it's because he's fallen down to the rank where they start to look for really good bow twirlers. So the other guy got the boot because he was like down there, but he wasn't like famous. And then Aqua was like, you know what? You're the face of the JSA twirling community. So
And they picked a good face.
I did. I'm so excited. Plus, he's bigger. The other guys were actually quite skinny, it seems, and Aqua's like bigger. So I like to see I'd like to see a heavy twirler.
Me too. And he's doing
In
a very good
Texas?
job.
Texas or on the dojo.
Heavy twirlers are just great. Yeah.
Big boned.
Yeah.
twirlers.
You could tell it's kind of new for him. Like if you watch him go through it, he's a bit careful with the motions right now. You can see he's like,
Well, he's got a belly.
Well, yeah, it's more to get around. Maybe that's it. But he doesn't go quite as low, or he's just more careful. Like he doesn't want to drop the bow, is what it seems like. But he's going to get it down. We know he's good with his hands because if I'm remembering correctly, he was the one that used to work on cars. So he's very good with his hands.
That's right.
Yes. So
That's right.
I'm really looking forward to seeing that all 15 days of this tournament, to see Aqua keep twirling that bow. The other thing you need to know before we even get into day one is we do have one dropout.
Yes.
Koto Shoho is out of the tournament due to injury, I believe. And that means for all you bingo players, if you have Koto Shoho on your card and he does not show up for the rest of the Basho, I'm sorry, it's a dead square. Sorry, there's nothing we can do about it. It stinks for both you as a bingo player and Koto Shoho as a sumo wrestler. But I just had to point it out. That's why we're not going to be seeing him. Okay, let's get to the sumo.
Yeah.
First of all, to check in with our two newbies in the top division. Tochi Taikai got his very first win on day one, first day in Makauchi. Welcome to the top. He did a super nifty push and pull maneuver on Mitakeyumi. And I struggled. I'm very happy for Tochi Taikai. But I struggled because I realized that this is Mitakeyumi. Mitakeyumi is the one visiting from Juryo,
Right.
not Tochi Taikai.
Yeah.
So this felt like a huge changing of the guard for me because this is ex Ozeki Mitakeyumi who lost to that nifty push-pull maneuver.
Yeah.
So it was like a happy sad moment for me when I watched that bout.
Me too. I did not like it. I mean, I liked it because I want this guy's career to be great in Makuuchi, but yeah, Mitake Yumi, it's just symbolic in so many ways. It's like he's on his way out and he's guesting from Juryo.
Now maybe he will pop right back up. I hope he does. But it was not the way to begin when you fall into Juryo to land flat on your belly like that. Now our other newbie to check in with on day one is Kaio, who showed up in the most beautiful yellow mawashi, like canary yellow. And now I cannot see him as anything other than a duckling.
Yeah, I saw it and I was like, what a beautiful morning dew.
Oh, morning dew. See, I just went ducks.
I actually said canary yellow in my notes. I'm pretty
sure.
Oh,
you did?
So I also thought canary yellow, but he, it was just so much yellow. And I was like, he's bronzed. It's amazing.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Gorgeous.
And it's not a usual color. There are not many. I can't think of one other wrestler that has that same color. Can you?
It's a pale yellow. It's a very soft yellow. It's not anywhere close to orange. It's just nice.
It's a duckling yellow.
Duckling yellow.
It's beautiful. The mawashi gets a 10 out of 10. Unfortunately, it seems as though Kaio woke up that morning and he said, I'm going to throw it all out at you. I'm going to give you this maneuver, then that one, then that one, then that one, then that one, which showed me that he has speed. He has a ton of speed. Now, maybe he was a little bit nervous and he just had trouble finishing and following through with all those moves. And then after about 10 seconds, he just completely ran out of gas. And Ryuden walked away with that win. So Kaio did not have the best first day, but he did look fabulous in the mawashi.
He did. I thought the same. He was like, yeah. Like he just, I'll throw this. He just like got so overexcited.
Yes.
And I think the overexcitement and nerves like came together in just a ball, and that did not help him focus.
Yes. And
he was a bit unfocused.
To be honest, this happens to me when I get nervous.
When I get excited, me too.
Yeah.
I mean, all bets
if I go
off.
to an audition and I'm like, I can get completely ungrounded and just be like, you want to see a high kick? You want to see the splits? What do you want to see? How about this? How about that? That's kind of what it felt like.
That's so true. It's like, what do you want from me? What do you want? I'll give you whatever you want. See, I can do this. I can do that. Yeah, that is so true.
All right. I'm going to skip some really wonderful sumo to talk with you about my favorite matches, which kind of took place in the middle-ish of the day. I was kind of surprised. One of my favorite fights on day one was Takara Fuji with the best, just such a good game face on this kid. I love his pre-game face. Him versus Hira Daumi. It was a really fast and super muscular bout. This one was. Hira Daumi, he caught Takara Fuji up high. Like Hira Daumi had a much better placement in this match. And boy, it looked like Hira Daumi was in the driver's seat and was going to win. And Takara Fuji on his way out, he was being pushed out pretty solidly. He grabbed Hira Daumi's shoulders and flung him aside with so much passion and so much strength. And I was like, ooh, kind of felt all funny inside. It was really beautiful.
It's just that tan. It's just that beautiful tan and his traps.
Yeah. It was a pretty win by Takara Fuji. We'll just leave it at that. One of my other favorites was Kiribayama, who held off Gonoyama in full throttle
Kirishima,
mode.
But I love that you called him Kiribayama because he is always Kiribayama in our hearts.
Yes, he did change his name, and sometimes it's hard to remember the names.
Because I think he still looks like Kiribayama.
Oh, he does.
Everybody I think a lot of people agree, like, Karishima is not a good fit. Like, it's a good fit for his Oyakata, but, like, for him, I still think he's Kiribayama too.
And it's just more fun to say
Yeah.
too. It may not have the history that Kirishima has, but Kiribayama is just way more fun. But they don't listen to me. I'm just a fan in Dallas, Texas, and they do not listen to my opinion. And I just gotta accept it. Anyway, Kirishima, thank you, held off Gonoyama, who was in seemed to be in top form in full thrust mode, and Gonoyama just missed a few thrusts. Kiribayama deflected a few of those thrusts, and then once Kirishima had that belt grip, it was all over. He just moved Gonoyama, took him back over the bales. I just enjoyed it. It was pretty sumo. And Kirishima seems to be looking pretty good. He was a big question mark going into this Basho, because you mentioned something about back surgery. And so I really wasn't sure what to expect from him at all. And so it was nice to see that on day one and to be like, okay, he doesn't look poor. He does not look like he's in poor form.
No, and he also looks a little tubbier to me. Like tubby in a
Tubbier.
good way, like a
Oh,
good tubby, like a little bit of weight he's put on, but not a crazy amount, but like
yeah.
like trying to get to a better weight that's a little heavier. Um, but I also might be just making that up. But I'm not sure what the weigh-ins were. If he did gain, I should check that before I say that. But maybe he was just having a bloated day, which happens
Happens
to
to the
all of us.
best. That's right. Okay, one of my favorite bouts on day one, Oho versus Kotozakura. This one was just a great match from two very large wrestlers who also just have huge sumo history in their families, right? They both just come from long line of sumo wrestling families. So it's always fun to see them go up against each other. Legendary pushes from the two of them in these matches. Huge, huge pushes. And then they had this long pause in the middle of the match where they were in the center of the ring and they were chest to chest. And I imagine they were listening to each other's breathing and trying to get the timing right for what was going to come next. And Kotozakura, he had tried for Oho's belt several times within that chest to chest thing and just couldn't get the grip that he wanted. So he stood up tall, he took a risk, and he brought both arms inside and tried to get both hands on the front side of Oho's belt. And Oho did one of my favorite moves, the Kimidashi, where you just squeeze like hell on somebody else's arms. And Kotozakura did not like that at all. So then it was super fast from that moment. It all ended with a Katasukashi. Oho coming out with a win this time. He got the interview. I love his interviews because when you watch him speak in Japanese, he's so flat and he talks like this. And then the commentators give him tons of personality when they tell you what he's saying. So I always appreciate that. I appreciate the extra effort that the commentators are making to translate.
Try to make
for
this guy
him.
sound a little bit less boring.
Yeah. I know, but it was a great match.
Wouldn't it be funny if the commentators were like, let's give him like a British accent or something?
Oh, I'd love it. And an Australian, just give him an
yeah.
Aussie accent.
Yeah.
Crikey, that was great.
Or like a Texan, it'd be like, I just went out there and I did my brand of sumo.
Well, if you want to watch a really good sumo fight from day one, watch Oho versus Kotozakura, excuse me. Lots and lots of different maneuvers. No one gave ground easily. It was a great match. We finished day one with a couple little snacklets of sumo matches. One, in case you're wondering, will Onosato be able to string together a second Basho win and maybe get that Yokozuna title? He's looking good so far. He made a snack of Wakamoto Haru, which is not easy to do. On day one, he just did a great job of keeping Wakamoto Haru right in front of him. Onosato looked great. And Hoshoryu, I don't know how this happened, but Hoshoryu soundly and maybe a little bit too easily pushed Wakataka Kage out lickety split super fast at the end of day one. Wakataka Kage doesn't often leave his chest open, so it kind of shocked me. I don't know if it was one at the Tachiai. It was one of those like super fast, overdone. Hoshoryu walked away with that win. So both Onosato and Hoshoryu ended on a strong note on the end of day one. And yeah, it was just a wonderful day of sumo.
We're back at it. All right. Day 2. Okay, day 2. I want to talk about who one of our upcoming little stars is going to be. Now he is in Juryo. So I want to talk to you about have you seen Kusano? This
Just today, he showed up with long hair, and I thought, oh, look at this. We got another newbie with long hair. His hair's not long enough to put up in the top knot, which means it's a
No.
fast rise.
Yeah, and he was the guy that Terunofuji and Hakuho were arguing over who was going to get Kusano in that they had like a field day at the stable. It was like on YouTube or whatever, and they were both like their first pick was this kid, and he went up against Asakoryu. Now Kusano won, I think, the last tournament where he had like a 14-1 record. Like the kid is something else.
And he's in Juryo.
He's in Juryo. He's like Juryo 1 or maybe 2, but he's also just breezed up there and he's amazing. But he goes in with an amazing head bonk. I mean, his Tachiai is a head bonk and a powerful one, like Hokuto Fuji's head bonk times kind of 10. And
Oh, Hokuto
I
Fuji.
know. I miss Hokuto Fuji.
Where is he?
I think somewhere cleaning toilets at the stable at this point. He's so far down.
Oh,
I know he's so injured, but yeah, I miss the good old Hokuto Fuji more than you'd know.
Me too.
But anyway, Kusano gets inside and a right hand grip on the inside, and from there pivots, lifts up, and plops Asakoryu up and over the ropes. He did a lift up and out kind of thing. I just wrote, wowzers, this kid is fast and strong.
He's big.
He is big, but his strengths, you can tell, are that speed, and he has good focus, good drive, good reflexes, and yeah, he's a beefy, strength filled kind of wrestler that I'm excited to get to watch more of him. I'm going to skip over Ryuden versus Sadano Umi, although that was a gorgeous whammy of a Yoriteyoshi. It was a gorgeous frontal crush out for Sadano Umi, and we don't ever talk about Sadano Umi very much. He's a statesman. He's been around forever. He's not all that showy. He's very serious, but he's been up there forever, and he is somebody who's like, I feel like on the defense a lot, but his defense is so strong. So when you see him do something like a frontal crush out with all this pizzazz, you take note. So I did, and it was on Ryuden, which I always love.
Me too.
I want to talk about another young kid, the Aonishiki, him versus Chura no Umi. This kid is something special. He just is like a little feisty fireball, and he's really low. He is very skilled. He is very fast. And it does feel like you're watching sumo plus judo or whatever he did back in the Ukraine. But it's kind of this watching somebody who has a lot of skills in his tool belt. And I thought these two would be a really great, fun matchup because Chura no Umi also has that kind of super speedy, fast thing. So with Anishiki, he has a lot of power, a lot of speed, and he's not afraid to use every single thing he can in any match over the other guy. And Anishiki at the Tachi stays really, really low. And he gets in lower, and when he decides he's like on a push or run to finish somebody else, he does just that. Initially, he almost rushed Churro to the edge and out, but Churro stepped sideways and Aonishiki just followed. He dug his head into the chest of Churro and then rushed him back and out. So even though Churro's got a chance to have one defensive move that kind of got him out of the way, Aonishiki was so fast to follow after that Shiro no Umi had no chance. No chance.
I really admire Anishiki's footwork. His balance is just excellent.
Yeah.
So many other people being as low as he is aren't able to like push back against the slapdowns, and the slapdowns don't seem to take him down.
No, he's very grounded.
Yeah.
And he's low, which, when you're really, really low, you are so susceptible. If the other wrestlers higher up than you, you are susceptible to any sort of slapdown. But he seems, when the other guy does that, he doesn't go anywhere. He just absorbs it, which means
Or he runs forward at the same time.
Yeah. So he's somehow balancing his lower half in such a way that protects him from that type of move.
Maybe it's just those traps that are keeping him up. Maybe they're like buoyant traps. They're like two balloons filled with helium, keeping him up.
Perhaps. All right, let's talk about Daisho versus Gonzo, or Gonuyama. I call him Gonzo, just in case you're wondering. This was fun. All guns a-blazing. This is a murder match between two brutes who swatted each other like nobody's business. I love that. When you see two wrestlers kind of fight the same way and throw all of their energy into it. It was a huge tachi, as both have huge tachi, and I love to see it come together. And then it was a SWAT fest from that. SWAT, thrust, murder, punch. Not a punch, but like thrust, murder,
Not
thrust.
a murder either.
Not a murder, but a murder thrust. And Daisho got one square swat onto Gonuyama's shoulder, while he also jumped to the side. And so that sort of hard hit kind of turned Gonuyama around completely in the air. And with one extra swat on Gonuyama, he hit the dirt. So they both did really excellent sumo, though. I can't really discredit Gonuyama because he showed up. He just didn't win the match. Daisho had a little bit more than he had as far as placement of those swats and getting those swats to move Gonuyama. And that was in such rapid succession, those swats were coming. So I don't even know how Daisho thinks that quickly to move like 400-pound of meat that quickly in that sequence. It blows my mind.
Yeah, his thrusts must be able to move mountains.
Anyway, let's talk about Oho. Never sleep on Oho. I know everybody's like to sleep on Oho. I have been an Oho fan for a long time, braving it in the water all by myself. But him versus Kirishima, who I also adore, Oho beat Kotozakura yesterday beautifully. So
wait,
because
the day before.
Yes. On day one, he beat him beautifully. And then what happened on day two at the tachi, Kirishima is rocked back because Oho is so heavy to move. Oho is slow and steady in his thrust attack. It doesn't look fiery, right? Basically 2 or 3 thrusts from a very well-focused Oho is what sent Kirishima out of the dojo. And I think I know more and more, I understand more and more why people aren't on Team Oho, or they aren't as excited about him in the past, is because he is heavy like Kotozakura is. You don't move him back easily. He absorbs a lot. And then his thrusts aren't like Daisho's, where they're fast and furious. They're super strong, and they're fewer, and they're like fantastically focused, and it gets the job done, but it's not as showy as Daisho's, right? So he impresses me, and he's getting all the love that he needs at this point in his career, I hope.
Daisho, well, I'll just say Oho to me, doesn't have, the Hoshoryu spark.
Yeah, the flare.
It's 110% moving forward. Nothing will stop you. Like, that is really what makes sumo so thrilling.
Yeah.
To me, is two guys doing that.
Right.
And Oho, my biggest beef against him was like, where is that spark? Like, you just seem like you're showing up to get a paycheck, and what a weird way to get a paycheck.
Yeah, but
I think when
it's...
he can turn it on, then I'm like, there it is. There's the sumo I've been waiting for.
Yeah.
But it's like he's got to make himself angry first.
Yeah, and I think it's slow and steady wins the race, and that's not always exciting, It's 2 or 3 massive thrusts, and that just doesn't look very exciting. But if Kirishima can't move and can't win, and 3 thrusts is kind of out, it does show just how strong and well placed his swats and thrusts and pushes are. Let me talk about Onosato versus Takayasu. This was a huge tachiai as expected, but Onosato is confident and does a lovely slapdown on Takayasu. He grabs around the head of Takayasu and easily yanks him into the dirt. Onosato was retreating at the time, which is not, always a good thing, but it does show you he has a lot of good ring sense. And day 2, I'm like, yeah, he beat Takayasu soundly. And that's a rematch from not so long ago where they were up against each other for the tournament win. And Onosato looked dominant. So that bodes well for him. Breaks my heart a little bit because I love Takayasu, but wow, Onosato is looking great. Kotozakura had a good moment up against Abi. Abi did that double arm stiffy arm deal at the tachiai.
Why don't they call it the double arm stiffy? This is why they just will never hire us, Leslie.
I know, but it's very descriptive, right? You know exactly what a double arm stiffy is.
As long as you don't let your brain go into the gutter, then it's great.
Right. Which would also be a terrible way to lose or win. I don't know. Anyway, I don't even know what that means. Kotozakura stays grounded and Abi can't move him. It's completely obvious. In the same way that Oho is heavy, the other wrestlers talk about Kotozakura being like impossible to move. His upper body is just like a pillow. They don't know what to do with it. It's just this blob that no one can get around. And that is what kind of happened to Abi. And Kotozakura finishes him off when Abi's a little bit too far forward and he pushes on his head and he pushes Abi's head into the dirt. I think that's the way it went.
And then he stood up and said, "You will not win by double arm stiffy. Wouldn't you pay for that ending?
Don't try that double arm stiffy with me. It
Mister.
Never works. Okay, and then last bout of the day, Hoshoryu versus Wakamoto Haru. Hoshoryu is all fire today. Wakamoto Haru is not phased. Hoshoryu is all over Wakamoto Haru. Hosho gets inside on Wakamoto Haru up top, rushes him back into the edge. Hosho is so low in his stance. It is truly amazing when you see the slow-mo and they go back and you see his stance also devilishly low. I just made that up.
Hosho devilishly low.
Yes, he just drives. Wakamoto Haru tries to pivot with his upper body and throw Hoshoryu down behind him, but Hoshoryu denied that by just doing the old lean in hard on Wakamoto Haru and crushing him into the dirt. So I was like, okay, good. We need a little energy for our Yokozuna who had a 5-5-5 last tournament. We need Hoshoryu to find that fire again, which I think that last tournament knocked his confidence down a peg. So I was happy to see this ending. Even though I love Wakamoto Haru, I was happy to see that.
That takes us to day 3. Oh, there's so much I want to talk about day 3, but I have to pick and choose so that we are not here all day. So I am going to talk about Endo versus Atami Fuji, where Endo, who has been struggling a bit as of late, he moved Atami Fuji back and over the bales just as he fell forward towards the ground, hand going down to the ground. Now, the win for that match was given to Atami Fuji. And then we had a mono-e, of course, because it looked like they both went out at the same time. And it was so close. We got treated to all sorts of replays, all sorts of discussion about who was in charge and where the energy was moving. It took a very, very, very long time to determine whether Endo's hand or Atami Fuji's foot went out first. I didn't think it mattered because it looked like a Tori Naoshi to me. I was like, they went out at the same time. Just do it again. But again, they did not listen to this fangirl in Texas. They reversed it and gave the win to Endo, which I'm not sure I agree with, but That's okay. That's okay, because sometimes you just have to honor the sumo gods, because the sumo gods know what they're doing, not me.
I agree with you. This one hurt mainly because I just wanted to give Atami Fuji a hug. I wanted to honor his good wrestling.
Yeah.
I didn't understand that one. I was like, that's too close. Why don't we call that a do-over?
Yeah. It would have made me happy
Yeah.
to just do a do-over. But what it means is Endo is starting this Basho strong with a 3-0 record. Incredible start. And not only Endo, but I want to mention this as well. Nishikigi has started with 3-0. I haven't talked about his sumo, but you got to honor the man when he shows up to do sumo like that. That's just really, really good. We had a really couple of fantastic fights that I'm going to skip over because I want to talk about Tobizaru versus Oshoma, because it was a bizarrely fun match. It was an unusual match because there was not, you expect to see two wrestlers run towards each other at the beginning of a sumo match. These two didn't do it. Nobody trusts Tobizaru. Everybody's like, he's going to try something weird, kind of like Ura. Okay. So Oshoma just stood up and was like, I don't know what you're doing, but I am prepared for you. And so they traded a few pushes. There was Tobizaru tried some foot sweeps, and eventually it ended up where they both like took one long run from one side of the dojo to the other, and they flung each other out of the ring at the exact same time right into the audience. So again, the judges were like, okay, we're going to give the win to somebody, but really we're going to have to talk this over because these two went out at the same time. So we got treated to lots of slow-mo replays, which I'm telling you, the joy and the fun of sumo replays is not always to watch the sumo. It's sometimes to watch the reaction of the people in the audience. And this one, every time I watch the sumo replay,
it was that lady who was like this.
Yeah, one woman.
One woman.
Well, put yourself in their place. Two huge wrestlers are flying in the air right towards you. Yeah, there were like 3 or 4 ladies whose mouths were hanging open and their eyes were getting really wide. And then there was a judge who leaned back and was like, and gave himself 4 chins as he was leaning. But it got funnier every time they played it. For me, I would pay money just to see that replay again and again and again for those enjoyable reactions. Long story short, they decided that one was a rematch. That one we were going to have to redo. So we got a Tori na Oshi. We got it again. And this time, Tobizaru won very definitively with an Oshi Dashi. So it was a simple rematch, but we got the pleasure of all the slow-mos. Which I just have to acknowledge.
Yeah, it's worth acknowledging.
Yeah. Hakuoho won, taking him to 3-0, looking dominant and great. Takeru Fuji won and went to 3-0. I'm not even going to tell you who they met because their sumo was just so good, and I just want to mention that they're undefeated at this point. Now it's early, but still, they're having a great start. Takayasu versus Gonoyama is worth a mention on day 3 because Takayasu won this match, not really by pushing and moving forward. He won this match by skipping backwards around, complete 360 around the ring, skipping away from Gonoyama, who was chasing him and trying to push him out. And just as Gonoyama was like, oh my God, good Lord, Takayasu somehow got behind him and gave him one push from behind. And so Takayasu won.
It was a complete booty scoot.
It was great.
Or if you're a dancer, it was a chasse all the way around the dojo. And I was like, Takayasu can kind of dance. He can kind of hustle. He got the win for it. And now I know he could chasse.
Yeah, it was one of those matches where you could put music underneath it and it would look like a dance, truly.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
That one was super fun. Okay, I'm going to take you to 2 more fights on day 3 that I think are worth mentioning. Wakataka Kage solidly beat Koto Zakura, a much bigger opponent, beat that Ozeki, and the world rejoiced. I just have to say it. Everyone loved that win.
Yes.
Wakataka Kage is so much smaller than Koto Zakura and had to work so hard to get it, but he got it.
It was hard fought towards the end. I mean, he did essentially, I think, a belly bump of Kotozakura over the ropes, and that's
Yeah,
not easy.
it's not. Like, picture a frog bouncing against a very large, I don't know, rabbit right at
Like
the edge of a
like
ring,
a
trying to send
bear,
him backward. Okay, bear.
a bear, a frog versus a bear.
It was, yeah, the size discrepancy was just great. And Kotozakura is so good at being hard to move. But Wakataka Kage did it, and he was exhausted at the end, but it really was something to behold. So good
Did
win.
you know I found footage from Japan? I told you about this, but did you know that the bout that one of the bouts I watched Musashi Maru who won versus a guy, I don't know what his name was, Onigiri. I don't know. It was something.
I'm sure it was not onigiri, but that's funny.
It was like something close to like
It's
onigiri or something.
called
It's
sushi.
yeah. The last four bouts I videoed and it was Takano Hana, no, Wakano Hana, uh, and I watched Akebono do his doyo iri. I should post it.
Yeah.
And also Kota Nowaka, his dad.
Oh, his dad. Wow.
Yeah, who when I remember looking at, because I take a video of the, whatever the piece of paper it is that tells you who's fighting who, and I just glanced over it then and I was like, oh, I'm waiting to see Musashi Maru or Akebono, but now I watched it, and to watch his father wrestle was kind of interesting, and to see him in his heyday, and he was second to last match of the day, so it was him, at the height of his career. And I think it was either him versus like Takanohana or Wakanohana, one of those guys. I don't know. I have to
Was
remember. I'll post it.
Yeah, was he as hard to move?
No, he does not. I mean, he looks like a sumo wrestler, but he doesn't look like Kotozakura's body. He has long, skinnier legs like Kotozakura, but not the upper body build that's quite the same. It's interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. Onosato on day 3. Another great win, this time against Abi. The sumo itself is not really anything to write home about, but he did withstand Abi pushing his chin all the way up and back, like he was looking up at the lights. But he flung Abi's arms to the side, and that's the trouble. If you just go for somebody's neck, if you can fling those arms aside, you've got a clear entry to like grab that guy and send him out. And he did it. He looked great. So Anosato is another one that is at 3-0. But the last bout of the day, I have to mention Hoshoryu versus Oho. So these two met. There's a big tachi-ai. And of course, I'm rooting for Hoshoryu. Of course. But somehow, Oho got a hand behind Hoshoryu's neck and just slapped down. Boom.
Boom.
Yeah. Boom, Hoshoryu, Yokozuna, went down flat on his belly. Oho walked away with a kimboshi, gold star, which means lots more money, some more money.
Yeah, he gets like 400 more dollars a
for
month
every
or something.
Basho or per month. I don't know. I have to look up the exact amounts.
But it's like a $400 bump each month.
It's a nice bump. I would take that bump.
There's some guys who had like crazy
20. Yeah.
Like Tamawashi is one of those that's up. There's another guy who has like even more than Tamawashi. That's a pretty nice, like, lifelong salary bonus.
Yeah, you get that salary bonus for the rest of your career.
Right.
Yeah. Until you retire, which is probably what makes it so hard to retire after a certain point.
Yeah. I wonder if you get it when you become an Oyakata or if you stay in the JSA.
Oh, I don't think so. I don't think you get it per month. Either. I think it's just when you're an active wrestler.
Right? Yeah.
But big congratulations to Oho, because again, you're making me go, okay, Oho, I'm trying to come around to you. I really am. And when you do things like that, it's like, all right, well done. Hoshoryu, not the best start to this tournament to give away another kimboshi, and you could tell he did not like it at all.
No.
But that is truly the fun of Hoshoryu, is because he's so emotional and you can completely read his face, whether he's happy, sad, mad, glad, whatever. That is the fun.
Chewed out, I'm sure, by the JSA, who's like, we cannot afford to have you losing all the time. So it's a level of like pressure that comes along with being a yokozuna, where you are not supposed to lose.
Yeah, and I'm
And
sure they're all pointing at Onosato, and they're like, "Look, that guy is 3-0, and he is an Ozeki.
right,
You are a Yokozuna, and you have won once."
right.
Drop. I love Hoshori. I'm sure he'll get it back together. I just had to look at my notes. He's won twice, not once, but twice. So
Oh,
he's only
Hoshoryu?
lost once. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm double checking my notes because as soon as that came out of my mouth, I was like, wait, is that right? Hoshoryu beat Wakataka Kage on day 1, and he beat Wakamoto Haru. So he beat the brothers. La, 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 la. Okay, so he only lost to Oho. All right, not quite as bad. Got to take that back, but not as good as Onosato.
Yeah, he's looking good. So I'm looking forward to next week because we will know, I think, I mean, anything can fall apart the last week towards the end, but that's what we're really going to be watching for is the Yokozuna watch and to see how he does either as a runner-up or possibly winning, how dominant he stays. I'll be getting a little bit excited. And I am excited too for Hoshori to kind of get back into the groove and to see who else rises to the top.
Yeah, wouldn't it be fun to see Takeru Fuji up there
Yes.
in contention? Hakuoho in contention? Nishikigi in contention? Like, there's so many 3-0 guys I would love to see up there.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. All right, but that's it for this week.
See y'all later. Bye.
Yeah.
Till then,
Bye.
I'm Leslie. Bye.
I'm Lori. Bye.